So my name is Mistress Wyolet Bertrem. This is the first time that I've entered the Kingdom A&S, and I chose to do a six-strand braid that was recovered from a Norse site called Hedeby that dates to the 9th and 10th century. It's called Hedeby, and it's kind of very northern Germany, very close to the Denmark border in northern Germany. And so I'm just learning to do the basic braid, and I did a number of examples and did the documentation on the piece of old clothing that the braid was found on. The clothing fabric was actually quite large, which is unique to the Norse sites because the fibers don't tend to survive, and this particular piece of fabric had been repurposed and had been used as caulking on a boat seam, and so it was coated in tar, so it survived longer. So the braid that came off of the archaeological remains was a 6-strand braid that used 3 yellow and 3 red in terms of the colors. And so this is what they think the pattern looked like, is what I've got wrapped around this little doll here and on this sample. And so as I was braiding and doing my different things, I decided to do a couple of examples if you vary the colors and numbers of the threads. So instead of doing 3 yellow and 3 green, I did 4 yellow and 2 green on this one, and then 4 green and 2 yellow on that one, just to show some variation in the braid based on the position of the strings and the colors. All right, so for this braid, it's 6 strands. So I've got alternating of the contrasting colors, and you take the outermost string, and the one on the right goes over top of the other 2. The outermost string on the left goes behind, and then those 2 strings crisscross in the middle, and that produces the kind of striped pattern. And this particular technique ends up creating a flat braid. So it's a flat, instead of being round or circular, this ends up being flat. And you just keep repeating. I've got the string counterweighted just because without the tension, it's hard to hold everything together and get it to pull tight. It also, even though they do tangle a lot, even when they're weighted, it still is less than it would be if they weren't weighted and I was dealing with like bundles of string. Once you get weaving consistently, like right now, these are a little long, so they're tangling really badly. But once you get kind of get into a rhythm, it actually braids up pretty quickly. The sample that I did for the competition, I probably spent, about 3 hours worth of time, and I've got 1, 2, I have somewhere upwards of 3 yards, and it took a couple of hours of time. So, and it's, again, this is the end product. Looks a little different on the 2 sides, so you can pick which side you like better. If you like kind of the more chevron stripe, the opposite side has more of an elongated stripe. So you can get different effects depending on what you like. So, yeah.